going to look at importing plain text data using RStudio's GUI. So to do this, we're going to go to the top right of RStudio and click on the Import Dataset. You can see that RStudio can import several formats, so it imports Excel, also can import formats from several stats packages, but we're interested in these top two options. The first one uses R's base functions to import the data, that's like read.table or read.csv, and the second one uses the package readr to import data, so we're going to try and use that. It opens up a window. The first thing it asks for is the file to import, so we're going to browse our computer and we're going to select this leadfish data that we've already exported from Excel in a comma separated variable format. Open that. And RStudio displays a little preview of how it's going to import the data. So by default it tries comma separated variable format. So that actually means that it's looking pretty good here. It's identified the three variables in the data, and you can see a little idea of what the data will look like below that. And because Excel had some trailing commas at the end of every line, RStudio has imported those as well as blank columns, and it's labelled them x4, x5 and so on. So we're going to have to clean that up after we've imported the data. Now the great thing about using this GUI is that you can play around with different options for importing the data. So in the bottom left here you have all the different options, and you can kind of try different things, and it shows you what the result of that will be in the preview window. So if I try to delimiter that's a semicolon, you can see that's not going to work. The data just doesn't look good. So I'm going to put that back to being a comma. And you can change things like, is the first row giving the names of the variables, and skipping rows and things like that. It also will open up a data viewer after you've imported the data by default. For big data sets you don't want to do that because that will take a lot of time. So I'm going to deselect this option, Open Data Viewer, which turns off that data viewer. So the code for importing the data is here in the bottom right. So I'm going to copy that code because we're going to use it later. And then to import the data, I just click the Import button, and that will send those commands to the R console. So let's do that. So that's done it. So back in the R console here, the data being imported. It gives a few red messages telling you what it's done. That's not an error, that's just that's information. And you can see the data here has been imported. It's called leadfish_cleaned, and it has 62 observations. And that's in a format called a tibble, which is a data frame with a few extensions on it. The final thing to do is to put that code in an R script, so the next time we don't have to use the GUI to import the data. So I'm going to copy the code, the 2 lines, into my R script for future use. And that's it. That's importing plain text data using RStudio.